Hello and welcome to I Lit a Candle presentations for the XJW community. Today I have something that's a little difficult for me to talk about, but I'm going to anyway. I know that many of you have had experiences with rejection by your family and so forth, and I know there's a lot of angry people. There are people that I can't talk to because they've killed themselves. They committed suicide over things like this. Boy, I would love to do some research and do a book regarding this matter. However, I have been working on my poetry, trying to get it out there, and I thought, well, this is a good place to put this poem. I just want to give you a little background. I was fourth generation, and of course, my mother was third, and it was a big part of her life, even though I know she had gone a little bit off course there for quite a few years. And it's too bad she did pass away in 2009, and maybe she would have woken up finally and saw some things. I'd love to go into everything about my mother. It's really an interesting subject. However, the one thing I'd like to just tell you about now is when I was disfellowshipped in 99, my mother still kept talking to me. I can tell you we were very close. I mean, I know it sounds maybe silly, people, of course, they should be close to their mother. Now, of course, some people aren't. And in some ways we had gotten apart, but I was kind of had rescued my mother from the time I was little. She was abused, and she also had severe asthma. My father used to beat her, so forth. And I was always trying to protect her, and it did have a big effect on my life going through all this with her. And so she had become less, I don't know, of a person that I knew when I was young that had a big effect in a way that she was kind of a little more reasonable, and she got a more, I guess, closed down, and I think even resentfully accepted some of the fanaticism that we do as witnesses, that we, as you've seen it. So that was kind of sad, and we did live quite a ways away from each other, but we managed to keep up our relationship, and we would visit occasionally. But of course, nobody could afford very much visiting. But she was very dear to me, even though I knew she had made mistakes in her life, especially, I was pretty neglected as a child, and there's a lot of other things I could talk about, but to me, she was just the light of my life, especially when I was young, of course. And so I guess I'll get to the point here. She did talk to me for years, and then suddenly I couldn't get a hold of her, and she lived near my sister. My sister, of course, wasn't talking to me, and it was kind of the situation, as many of you might have had, where I didn't want my mother to get in trouble for talking to me, especially with her age. My goodness, she was 85 at the time, 84 actually, at this particular time. And so I didn't want to get a hold of my sister, but I left a message. I was actually afraid that my sister might get it and turn her in or something like that. And so I left a message a couple times, and then finally one day she picked up the phone and she said, I almost couldn't make it out. It was something like, Martha, 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 just up and down all over the voice. Her voice was. And she said, I got to talk to you. I'm under demonic attack. And I just, I can't talk to you now. The elder said, it's because of you I'm under demonic attack. And then she says, I'm sorry, Martha. and she put down the phone. Well, I want to give you a little background here. My mother, as much as I did love her and everything, she held a job down for years as a draftsman. It wasn't as if she wasn't an intelligent person in many ways. She was quite an artist. But she had this, fear of the demons, as you know, that many witnesses had. And anyway, this is all a very long story, but I want to just condense it here. The thing was, I knew months before this, her evidently she was getting a lot of pain in her spine, and that it turned out her osteoporosis was so bad her spine was beginning to break. Well, as it turned out, I figured out what was going on. She had been told by the elders, this pain she was in, and that rather than look at it medically for the fact that her spine was deteriorating to the fact that her vertebrae was actually breaking, that they told her it was because she was talking to me and that she was under demonic attack, and that's why she was having this pain, which of course must have been terrible. And in years past, I actually have still letters from her. At one point, she burnt all her clothes. I am not kidding you. I don't know what she wore till she got some more, but she figured she'd gotten them at thrift stores, and that was her problem when she had some different issues. And then we had a big break in our relationship at one point because I had given her some jewelry, and she felt she'd gotten somehow some demonic connection off of me. And this is very strange because I didn't have any, as far as I was concerned, anything like that should have been an issue with her. And the same thing happened with my sister. And of course they just destroyed all the jewelry that I had made and given to them. And so anyway, we'd already gone through that with my mother. My sister, we never recovered. Our relationship was very shaky anyway, and especially after I was disfellowshipped. But with my mother, she kept talking to me, and we wrote back and forth. And of course, she had some terrible things to say at times, and all this because she was getting more and more, as you might think, radical about it. But the fact is, the last time I spoke to my mother, it was about a year and a half later. She actually died, and what I understand was her back actually snapped. She just literally, her back broke. That was how bad her osteoporosis was. And I'll tell you, she had been on inhalers in her life for asthma, and that, of course, is very bad. Because of they're steroid, and that was what they used. I mean, she was 85 when she died. So I kind of really had a hard time first, and I was so angry. She was in Utah, and I called the Kingdom Hall one day, and I said I wanted to speak to an elder. Well, there was nobody there. It was just sisters at the time, and I was just really going to let them have it, both barrels, And then I realized, well, they're just going to make things bad for my mother, so I'm not going to do it. I just let it go, and just let God and let it go. So I never did get a hold of those elders there, which I think was near St. George congregation. I'm not sure, so I'm not going to say for sure. But anyway, so my mother did die about a year and a half after our last, I wouldn't call it conversation. I mean, I was like totally shocked that they had told her the reason she was having this pain, and that was because she was under demonic attack for talking to me. So anyway, when I did find out, my brother-in-law actually had called me, and there's a whole story there. But anyway, I was pretty stricken, and have been writing poetry for years now, and I guess what happened was I worked something out in my mind with this poem, and it was only 2 days later that I wrote the poem finished. Sometimes it takes me a couple days, but anyway, she died on February 14th, which is Valentine's Day. Um, and I got the news of that the very next day. But anyway, this is what came to me, and I want to share it with everybody. My mother, my only mother, I can still smell you like sweet dust of apple blossoms, when to my new eyes you were a goddess haloed. Looking into your mist blue eyes, which you gave to me, and which I looked back at you, I first saw love. Out of your faithful lullabies, I first sang arias, and against all odds, out of your weaknesses, I became strong. Out of your fears, I became a fearless protector. And out of your afflictions, I learned to be a healer, a binder up of broken-hearted, broken-winged spirit things, bodies, broken minds. Your grief became my burden. Your suffering led me to the pain of others. Your bruises I took up like a banner into a fight to last my life long. How I loved you, Mama. You lit the fire. My life burns with purpose. Now your good and kind spirit breaks free from those who rearranged your mind, flying to God unhindered. Elizabeth Yvonne Watkins, age 85, passed away February 14th, 2009. You lit the fire inside of me to understand, to protect the weak, to heal the sick. Just want to say that this is really true. I did, my mother had a profound effect on my life, and I did learn these things. And when I was in my teen years, I did do volunteer work at Orange County General. I ended up going into the medical field a little bit. And I was always drawn from the time I was very young to kind of like take care of the underdog, type thing. And I always have had that drive in me to reach out and protect the weak. And I know a lot of the things my mother did weren't right, and it actually made me very determined to stand up to men. I did stand up to men, and in fact I just did another YouTube about my first day of pioneering. If you want to see, that one is my first day of pioneering, and you'll see what I mean. Yeah, I had a very brutal father, and I did, I wouldn't say I was unreasonable. I just literally feel that I'm not going to let men belittle me. And fortunately I didn't, go farther. I mean, some women, become lesbians, and that I never was a lesbian. But I don't mean to say anything against lesbians, but I know that a lot of them have had issues like that. And fortunately, I just feel, I don't like bullies, and I feel very compassionate towards a lot of people, because I know they are the way they are because they can't help it. And in the last 10 years, I have studied homeopathy, and I'll tell you, people are born with a lot of what they are. And it's very hard for people to make changes in their lives. And I think I really want to commend anybody who's been through AA or gotten off of drugs or anything like that, because a lot of these people have really had a rough road, because they've got so many problems deep in their core, issues that they were basically born with. In homeopathy, we call it miasms. So anyway, I just since I'm kind of wrapping up my poetry channel for right now until I maybe write some more, there will be a couple poems I will put on this particular channel. However, I do have a the Poetry of Martha Wright channel, which has quite a few poems on it. Not all of them are really, related directly to being one of Jehovah's Witnesses for so many years. However, I just want to say I am out. Have been out for a good 20 odd years, and I was very active for 42, which I started when I was about 10. So it's a good more than half of my life, And as many of you know, it feels good when you get stabilized after you're out. And thank God I did get stabilized. And life can be very interesting once you're out. You can look into a lot of things that you may have not looked into before. And I certainly enjoy some of the other works of other theologians and many other people, because I do take it seriously. I still take the Bible very seriously, and yet I'm so very glad that I'm not fixated in that organization any longer. So I do hope and pray for all of you out there who are really struggling and having a hard time. I want to recommend Guy Finley. He's on YouTube. I want to recommend that you do something different every week. Look at all the wonderful organizations that there are out there of every type. If you're interested in astronomy, or if you can't figure out anything, just start looking through the paper at different groups that are doing things. And it will work out if you just hang in there and try to work with things for a while. So I will hopefully get back on track with the story about the mystery in my life, which I have some reasons why I'm not working on that right now. And once I get that done, then I will be back with that. And so I wish you some sanity during these hard days. Yes, this is during the COVID time. So please, people, get fresh air and sunshine. You need it. That's what will help keep you healthy. Don't wear your mask all the time or anything like that. Just wear it as little as possible, and try to keep safe with fresh air and sunshine, getting lots of rest, and work with what you can right now, because things are changing again.